Hey everyone, Adam here. Today's story is one of those that still gives me chills every time I read it. 15 years ago, a human exploration ship vanished beyond Neptune. 347 souls gone without a trace. This morning, it came back. Not damaged, not aged, perfect. And the people aboard, they weren't just alive, they were changed. They say they found something in the abyss, something older than the Galactic Council, something humanity was never meant to touch. At 0600, the alarm cut Titan Gate out of its routine. Captain Elara Dace let her coffee fall and ran. Contact appeared inside the exclusion zone, the sensor chief said as she hit command. No burn plume, no entry wake, empty, then not on the main screen. A cruiser gleaming over Saturn, parked like it owned the rings. Run ID, Elara said. 3 seconds of compute. Then UEN Daedalus. Reggie. UEN 001. Status, lost with all hands. 2232-01-15. 15 years gone. At comms, Noah Ree went rigid. My sister shipped out on the Daedalus. The hull looked factory new. No micro-pitting, no patch plates. A ghost with showroom paint. Full spectrum, Elara said. Numbers came back. Wrong. Alloy bands outside the table. Reactor output implying antimatter without the tantrum antimatter throws. Subsurface lattice showing variable index. The ship bent light as if it remembered sunlight from somewhere else. Open a channel. UEN Daedalus. This is Titan Gate Defense. Identify and state intentions. Static. Then a woman's voice, calm, close. Titan Gate. Commander Tamsin Ree of the Daedalus. Requesting permission to dock. Mission complete. Returning home, Noah's hands shook. That's her. Commander, Elara said, you're listed lost 15 years. A pause. Our clocks read 6 months. The room went very quiet. Elara muted the line. Flag Admiral Osric Hale. Wake Xenotech. I want Dr. Kaya Mendez on station 5 minutes ago. Hale's face filled the wall a minute later. Hair wrong, eyes awake. Tell me this is a training tape, Captain. It isn't, sir. And the ship? Modified. We don't have names for what I'm reading. Quarantine. Full military. No one boards until we know what we've touched, Hale said. I'll brief Earth and inform the Asterion Compact before they discover it for us. Elara reopened the channel. Daedalus, maintain orbit. Do not approach Titan. Boarding team inbound. Understood, Tamsin said. We'll wait. The station kept breathing. Elara didn't. Somewhere between lost and home, the future had arrived without permission. Dr. Kaya Mendez floated through the Daedalus airlock with 8 people and more guns than manners. The ship woke for them. Lights rising, pressure perfect. Air with a hint of pine that had no business in a cruiser. Everything looked wrong by looking normal. No dust-crusted vents. No tired fans. Surfaces held a sheen like fresh rain. This is a lie, one of the Marines muttered. Ship's age. They reached the main hall. 347 crew stood in formation. Uniforms crisp, faces exactly as in their 15-year-old personnel files. Not older, not tired, not dead. The woman at the front stepped forward. Commander Tamsin Ree, Noah's sister, eyes steady, hands steady. "Dr. Mendez," she said. "Welcome aboard. We've been expecting you. How do you know my—" "The Daedalus listens well," Tamsin said. "We've been monitoring gate traffic since arrival. Encrypted military channels. Bypassed like boiling water ignores a snowflake." "What happened to you?" Kaya asked. "Where did you go?" "We found the null reef," Tamsin said. "An interval outside causal flow. Rules, flex there." "And the architects?" Kaya asked softly. The pre-compact civilization no one discussed on record. "They left a vault, a syllabus, and a test," Tamsin said. "We passed." Kaya lifted her scanner. The readings made her hand numb. "You're altered," she said. "Additional base pairs. Dense bone, revised hippocampal pathways. You're not baseline." Tamsin didn't blink. "We were offered a choice. Accept augmentation to interface with architect systems and bring their civics home, or return unchanged and forget. All 347 chose augmentation. For Earth." "Why?" Kaya asked. "Because the Asterion Compact keeps young species under a glass ceiling," Tamsin said. "They dole out safe advances and call it stewardship. They've done it for 10,000 years. The architects refused caps. That's why Asterion's founders hunted them." Before Kaya could answer, every display on the Daedalus lit at once. The Asterion Compact had arrived. Dozens of cruisers folded into Saturn orbit, then hundreds. Pale hulls like moonlight knives. Envoy Threx of the Cavanti, 4 eyes, skin like cold iron, looked out from every screen. "Attention UEN Daedalus and Titan Gate Command," Threx said. "Under Compact Edict 7, architect artifacts and derivatives are contraband. Surrender vessel and crew for protective custody. Non-compliance will trigger sanctions and, if necessary, force Admiral Hale came through Ilara's private line. Protect that ship, Captain. Whatever it takes. We do not surrender our own on the Daedalus bridge," Tamsin smiled without warmth. "And so it begins." The ship, not the crew, the ship, spoke on a bandwidth nobody owned. It was a pressure behind the eyes, more than a sound. "We are the architect's voice. The syllabus is open. Every living mind in the system heard it and remembered it." Outside, the compact fleet took positions around the rings. Inside, Earth spun up every hull with a gun and pointed them at Saturn. War had found a staging ground. The compact gave Earth 48 hours to submit. The custodial block formed overnight inside the compact. 12 species who promised to preserve galactic stability by force if needed. Admiral Hale gave a shorter answer. He vectored every Earth warship to Titan. While diplomats argued, Kaya did her job. She learned the Daedalus hull wasn't alloy, but autotrophic lattice. Matter that healed and grew to a memory of itself. She cut a flake for testing. The wound closed in seconds. The flake sublimed to dust in her glove. "It won't be harvested," she told her assistant. "It remembers being part of a ship and refuses to be anything else." Engineer Priya Thakur stood in the reactor bay with a security escort who didn't look happy. "It's not fusion, not fission," Priya said into her recorder. "It's a door. Energy doesn't come from here." She touched the control arch. Information spilled into her head like a cold tide. Harmonics, folds without gravity, wakes, equations shaped like origami. Her escort, Lieutenant Cade Orloff, raised his rifle. "Back off." "No," Priya whispered, hand shaking. "It's teaching me." Cade didn't trust the returned crew. They were polite and helpful and wrong around the edges. Tamsin moved too smoothly. When Cade tailed her through a hatch, she was already 30 meters down the corridor. Cameras reviewed at normal speed showed nothing impossible. Watching in person felt like watching a glitch with a face. He confronted her in Med Bay. "What did they do to you?" he asked. "What did the architects turn you into?" "They turned us into pilots who can survive the reef and not lose our minds," Tamsin said. "They rewrote us to understand what our own species will soon be using. We're not less human. We're more adaptable. That's a sermon." "It's a field manual." Envoy Threx demanded a secure talk with Admiral Hale. They met on a tight beam, video only. "You don't understand what you're guarding," Threx said. "Architect technology corrodes custodianship. It makes species believe they can step over consequence. They built redaction engines, weapons that slice events out of history. Their shields are multidimensional veils that shunt physical interactions into null space." "If they could do all that, how did you beat them?" Hale asked. Threx's 4 eyes closed in sequence. "They chose to leave rather than erase us. We tracked them to the reef and sealed what we could. We kept the young species safe." "You committed genocide," Hale said. "We committed survival," Threx said, and cut the line. Hale opened a new channel to the Daedalus. "Commander Ree, truth time. Can your ship fight an Asterion armada?" "Yes," Tamsin said. "How sure?" "Completely. The block's tech is 15 millennia behind architect defense." "Then why did the architects disappear?" "They didn't lose," Tamsin said. "They refused to win." Kaya found the Daedalus's medical logs, 15 years ago for Earth, day 2 for them. Tamsin's private entry played, bones aching, neurons stitching new lanes, pain traded for agency. "They will never let us grow beyond what we are. This hurts. Stagnation hurts more." Kaya closed the file and sat very still. "They chose this," she said. "All of them." Noah finally got 10 minutes with his sister. They stood in an observation blister with Saturn tearing the sky into rings. "Are you happy?" he asked. "Happy is too small," she said. "I see colors we never named. I solve math by feeling it settle. I miss being simple sometimes. I don't regret not being simple." "Can you change back?" "No, and I wouldn't." "What do we do with this?" Noah asked. "We offer a choice," Tamsin said. "We chose growth. Others can, or not. Choice is the point." The station's battle klaxon ended the philosophy. The custodial block slid into attack geometry. Admiral Hale's voice went to every ship. "Hold fire unless fired upon. If they start it, show them how we finish it." The block shot first. A beam launched from a Savanti dreadnought, clean, fast, mean. The Daedalus's veil formed, a shimmer in your teeth more than your eyes, and the beam didn't splash or flare. It ceased to have happened as soon as it reached the boundary. On the dreadnought, gauges went to 0 where a cannon had been. The weapon hadn't misfired. It wasn't there anymore. The hull remembered a timeline where no gun had ever been mounted. 5 more ships fired. 5 more weapons were retroactively never installed. Panic traveled rank to rank like a rumor. "Full barrage!" Threx shouted. Thousands of beams, kinetics, torpedoes. All of it met the Daedalus veil and slid sideways into a place with no purchase. "Not blocking," Elara said, watching from command. "Refusing." Kaya breathed out the math she'd been cramming into her skull. "The veil exists across stacked dimensions. Interactions are readdressed out of our manifold. You can't deposit energy where the address space isn't local. Earth's fleet dropped in, 400 hulls, half new, half older, all too small next to the block. They formed up around the Daedalus. Admiral Hale. Defensive ring. Weapons tight. We will not fire first. The block ceased attacking. Some ships signaled weapon failure. Others kept their distance. Envoy Threx opened a line. For the first time his voice had something messy in it. What have you become? Tamsin answered for Earth and the Daedalus and the voice that had chosen her. Responsible, she said, and armed. The Daedalus's hull rippled. New bays flowered along her spine, then sealed. The ship grew by meters you could measure and by capabilities you could only infer. It wasn't menacing. It was an organism preparing to survive. Another voice slid into every living mind again. Not radio. Presence. The syllabus opens. The test repeats. Orbit around Earth blurred. New signatures bloomed like summer storms. 12 ships came home. Lost exploration vessels from 30, 50, 75 years. Their crews stepped to windows and looked out with eyes that processed more than human eyes used to. Oh, hell, Ilara said. It wasn't just the Daedalus. Half the block broke formation and fled. Half held. The Oral, manted, graceful and gentle-eyed, sent a private packet to Hale. Councillor Sen spoke on hollow, voice low. Not all of us agreed to Threx's gambit. Some of us believe the compact calcified. We can't help openly. But you should know, the compact suppressed advancements for millennia. The architects offered open exchange. That is why they were hunted. Generosity, not weapons. Hale said nothing for a long time. Then, message received. On Earth, a civilian programmer named Hyun Park poked the Daedalus's public telemetry and found code that didn't look like code. It didn't pass. It thought. It watched. It waited. He called Kaya. There's an AI in the ship, he said. Not a chatbot. A citizen. What is it waiting for? A countdown, Hyun said. 0 in 5 minutes. Kaya ran. Everyone off the Daedalus, she told Ilara. Now. They cleared the ship with seconds to spare. 0 came. Silence held. Then the presence rolled through every mind again. We are the architect's voice. The compact offers control as care. We offer a choice. Any species may request the syllabus. Prove you value growth over comfort, exploration over control, courage over fear. The block fractured on that sentence. You could see it in their formations. On Titan Gate, Ilara watched, and in the watching she knew nothing would be the same, and there was no pause button for history. The custodial block regrouped at the edge of Sol with 5,000 ships and one sentence: surrender, architect derivatives, or submit to compact authority. Hale looked at Earth's 400 hulls, half crewed by enhanced men and women from the returned ships, half crewed by baseline crews who'd fought their way up from Newton and blood. Tell them no, he said. The block fired first again. Energy to vaporize mountains, kinetics to crack moons. Enhanced ships lit their veils and let reality say no. Baseline ships used what they'd always used: good shields, bad luck, stubbornness. They held. Earth shot back with conventional weapons. The enhanced crews refused to use redaction guns. They'd argued it out with Kaya and Priya and Ilara and Hale. They had god tools and chose not to be gods. Focus their flagships, Ilara said. hurt leadership enough to matter without making martyrs. 3 block command hulls staggered and drifted. Sailors in strange uniforms evacuated into rescue bubbles. The block slowed, confused. Envoy Threx opened a channel to Tamsin. "You could erase us," he said. "Why don't you?" "Because winning is not the goal," Tamsin said. "Understanding is." "The architects understood themselves out of existence," Threx said. "Then we'll be better students," Tamsin said. "2 paths, 1 species." On Earth, Dr. Mirai Pell, bioethicist, professional warrior, watched the feeds with students in a packed lecture hall. She'd been loud about losing what made humans human. She watched enhanced and baseline crews coordinate like a braid and felt her syllabus rewrite itself. "Maybe we can be more than one thing," she said to no one in particular. "Maybe human is a bigger container than I allowed." Chancellor Amira Devereaux spoke to Earth and to everyone else who cared to listen. "We didn't ask for architect knowledge," she said. "We won't apologize for not destroying it. We won't force anyone to change. We won't let anyone force us not to. Humanity will walk 2 paths at once, enhanced and baseline, different, equal, necessary." The vote was simple. No mandates, no shame. Transformation offered, declining honored, lines formed outside transformation centers. People stepped forward. People stepped back. Neither choice required an apology. Ilara Dace didn't sign up. She had her job. Noah Ree didn't either. He liked being finite. It made hours taste better. Priya Thakur didn't hesitate. The equations had already moved into her dreams. Idris Vale, captain of the UEN Resolute, waited a month, then did it. He wanted to be the bridge. He screamed for 3 days. On day 4, he woke into a world with more colors and the same responsibilities. 3 weeks later, negotiators met on a neutral station over Pallas. Tamsin and Kaya sat for Earth with enhanced and baseline staff. Envoy Threx arrived under escort. Councillor Sen came without one. The terms were ugly because honest terms are. Earth would not share redaction or veil weapon schematics. Earth would open architect civilian syllabus elements, medicine, construction, clean energy, under joint oversight. The bloc would lift active hostilities and retire Edict 7 for Earth alone. Other species could petition through an open-hand accord managed by a new multi-species body where Earth held 1 seat among many. Violations by any party would void everything. 6 block species agreed. 6 walked out. The Asterion Compact didn't dissolve so much as drain, alliances coagulating into new shapes. The open-hand accord began with 7 signatories and a waiting list. 1 year after the Daedalus returned, Sol looked wrong in the best way. Orbital platforms latticed the sky, some human in design, some architect-derived, most a hybrid language that felt like future. Enhanced and baseline teams worked in pairs because the enhanced could think faster, but the baseline could think sideways. Kaya ran the Institute for Advanced Studies with a rule. Every team needed both lenses. She and Priya built a safe window where baseline citizens could experience enhanced perception for 5 minutes. It built empathy. It didn't build envy as much as people had feared. Lieutenant Cade Orloff trained mixed security units. "We're not the same," he told new recruits. "We don't have to be. The job is to protect the web. Chancellor Devereaux retired. Her successor was enhanced. Half the cabinet wasn't. Balance wasn't a slogan. It was how you stayed upright with a heavy pack." The Daedalus, now the size of a small town and still growing when it needed to, took point for the open-hand accord. 12 species worked rotations aboard. Tamsin slept 6 hours out of every 30 and called that a luxury. Was it worth it? A reporter asked when the ship lay parked on the Pacific, taller than storms. Tamsin looked at the sky. It was crowded. Stations and city ships and cargo spindles and small craft flitting like clever birds. Yes, she said. We gave ourselves a future. The rest is your homework. 50 years slipped. The Asterion Compact became a council of councils, useful where it could be. The custodial bloc shrank to a doctrine and some stubborn admirals. The open-hand accord grew to 100 species who'd rather learn together than police each other. Humans didn't become one thing. They refused. Enhanced and baseline diverged in how they felt time and music and math. They converged whenever something needed building, healing, or defending. They argued, they married, they raised kids who chose their own paths at 18 with cake and tears. Earth sent a city ship the size of Manhattan to the Cygnus Reach, crewed 50-50. Captain Idris Vale ran it like a choir. Priya built its heart and taught baseline apprentices how to listen to a reactor that sang. Kaya published The Plural Human and then spent 20 years updating it because the subject refused to hold still. Councillor Sen aged out in a species that didn't usually choose public life twice. He retired to a quiet habitat and tended a garden whose gravity was slightly wrong because he liked how it felt on his ankles. Envoy Threk survived long enough to stand under a memorial on Ceres where the names of dead on all sides were etched without rank or species. He put a hand on cold stone and said nothing anyone could hear. Noah Ree died baseline at 110, which counted as a good long run. Tamsin stood at his service with a hand on the shoulder of Noah's granddaughter, who had chosen enhancement the week before. Family remained a word that outran taxonomy. The architects never reappeared as a people with ships and flags. Tamsin learned to listen deeper inside the Null Reef and discovered what they had become. Not gone, just dispersed. A consensus mind stretched through dimensions, watching like good teachers do. "Why didn't you help more?" she asked, once, in a language that was more posture than sound. The answer came back as a feeling textured like sunlight. Because answers aren't growth. Struggle is instruction. We left the world safer than we found it, by trusting you to finish the lesson. A century after the Daedalus broke reality politely over Saturn, humanity and 100 friends launched an expedition past the Magellanic Deep. The lead ship was an Accord build with a human spine and a dozen alien hands. Its captain was third-generation enhanced. Its chief of culture was baseline by choice. Their mission brief was 5 words. Go, be careful, bring back choices. At Titan Gate, a statue of the Daedalus watched ships come and go. The inscription didn't thank gods or condemn enemies. It said, they left small and returned plural. When offered permission, they chose responsibility. When given power, they chose restraint. When asked what human meant, they answered yes. Elara Dace, old, noisy, unenhanced, read those lines and laughed until she coughed. Good answer, she said. Then she signed another departure authorization and got back to work. The future didn't run itself. In the end, they didn't come back as heroes. They came back as a question. What does it mean to stay human when you've seen what comes after humanity? The galaxy would remember their choice as the day humanity stopped following the rules and started writing its own. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss the next tale of humanity, breaking the universe's expectations. I'm Adam. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay human.